All right. Hello, everyone. How is it going today? I'm Colin Weston with the ModGolf Podcast. Welcome to our YouTube live stream, the second one that we've had. And yeah, still Monday morning here in Vancouver, where I am on the West Coast. So wherever you are across North America or even around the world now, because it's been pretty exciting that I have people reaching out to me from Europe, some people from Australia, from Asia, South Africa, Uganda. It's been amazing. I'd like to think that mod golf is becoming a global phenomenon, but that may be getting a little bit ahead of ourselves here. But we're on our way. We're on our way, and even with the live stream here, may seem like it's kind of simple. I don't have any background with me today. I don't have any fancy graphics right now. There's no screen for guests. And that's something that I am working on and production wise and putting that together over the next couple of weeks. And talked about this a little bit last week uh, on our first live stream, and that is, as an entrepreneur and even in life, is just deciding to go and do something, just that act of doing. And for me, believe me, I had 100 reasons, if not more, of not starting this and doing the live stream. Maybe I'm not good enough, maybe I just don't have an audience yet. uh, Also, the technical side of this too is not quite in place yet, but decided, rather than wait for perfect, and there is never a perfect, as I've learned in life and in entrepreneurship, and you just need to ship it. You just need to do it and get it out there. And if we want to consider this in startup speak as our minimum viable product here with our ModGolf YouTube live stream, as we're now broadcasting, which is live, rather than podcasting, which I've done now for 7 years and almost 200 episodes, and met some amazing people along the way. That's the way we're going to do it here. And I am really excited about the next couple of weeks, because for you, the audience, of having that next level of engagement, and being able to bring you on and both audio and even share your screen so you can really engage and participate. That's the direction we're going. Not quite there yet, but that's where we're going with this. But to engage and have a conversation, yeah, in chat, please ask any questions that you may have. Keeping this really open-ended again for today. Maybe we'll have one person, maybe we'll have 100 people. Last week we had, I think, 7 or 8 people jump on and had a great conversation. Right now we just have myself and someone else. I don't know who that person is right now, but hey, if you can say hi in the chat, we'll go from there. And this is a good time to talk about what success is, whether it's on the golf course with your score and your swing and setting expectations, and removing that stigma around failure and that fear of failure, of what that could be. And for me right now, the fact, oh, now I see I'm the only person on there. So in a way, I'm kind of talking to myself right now. So I can beat myself up and say, oh, this is awful. I need to stop right now. Don't record this. It's been embarrassing. No one's on. It's like, you know what? Just get your repetitions in and improve. And just, if I'm not just using this as practice, I know Allen Iverson, you basketball fans and NBA out there from years ago, the meme of him talking about practice during an interview is like, don't talk to me about practice. And he obviously didn't like practice. He liked the game situation here. But I look at this as practice also. For me, is just constantly improving. And the best way to learn in life is through doing. And that's been proven. Something called the pyramid of learning. And at that very top, the way that you retain and you learn is by doing things and learning through your mistakes and through your successes, rather than whether it's just reading something or listening to someone, which is still very effective. But the act of doing is the best way to learn. So, yeah, I want to talk about a few other things here, because this will also be, well, it is being recorded here. And the great thing about this is we will post it on our ModGolf YouTube channel, and you can watch this afterwards. And we will certainly be promoting that too. So for me also, is just another way to produce some content, hopefully something of some value for you too. And if you are tuning in now, whether it's live or afterwards, I know every YouTuber says this, but I would really, really appreciate it if you would subscribe to our channel. We're about, I don't know, 320 subscribers or so. And YouTube has this number, this threshold of 1,000 subscribers that we need to get to. And that unlocks the monetization capability there of what we can then generate. And any revenue that I can generate off of multiple streams here, multiple sources, whether it's YouTube, even if it's only a couple of dollars a month, it all helps me being able to produce more content and even better quality content. So it all goes back into the production side. Right now, as a lot of you know, I do everything on the ModGolf podcast, which I've had to learn these skills. So I've learned how to edit audio podcasts over the 100 and almost 90 episodes that I've done. So I'm very good at editing out as a sound engineer now. All of my ums and my ahs and my you-knows and my stammers and my stumbles and my long pauses, I call it Photoshop from my voice. So I keep the illusion alive that I can actually put a coherent sentence together and say something somewhat eloquently. So I know on this there's no editing, so I'm sure there'll be quite a few ums and ahs and you knows. But again, talking about practice for me so that I can get better at presenting, so I can communicate and produce hopefully engaging conversation and engaging content here. That's really the key of and the benefit and the opportunity that I have here. Other thing I want to mention is the reason I started this live stream every single week is this ties into our ModGolf Patreon page in our community. So you may be asking, what the heck is Patreon? Down below in the show notes, I will include the link for that so you can even check it out. And hopefully you will join us and we'll register and sign up. Whether it's one of the two tiers we have for a monthly subscription for paid, which not only allows you to interact on these live streams here as we go, and I'll be bringing on guests, whether it's previous guests that I've had on the show or upcoming guests that I'm going to be having on, and also having you join us too as a potential guest too. That along with exclusive ModGolf giveaway contests that we have. So if you like winning stuff, I definitely like winning stuff myself. So we have that. So this level of engagement to create this community to help me keep building this community on this mission to make golf more inclusive, more innovative, the entrepreneurial side, and make it more fun and make it more welcoming. And that diversity aspect that I do my very best to set that platform, set the stage, to welcome people to come on the show and to share their story and to showcase and spotlight and celebrate them. So yeah, please join our Patreon, and you can join for free. And hey, dip your toe in it. And if you like what we're doing here, and please, I want to have a conversation. So if there's things that you'd like to see on the show, if there's certain guests perhaps you'd like to have on, or certain topics you'd like to talk about on the live stream, I am all game for that. If you think I desperately need a haircut, let me know there too. Can maybe arrange that. So who knows? So yeah, maybe that's the thing. I need some money. It's my haircut fund. I don't know. Maybe I need a haircut. Maybe I don't. I don't know. I still have some hair, so I take the position that since I still have it, or as long as I do, I may as well keep growing it here. And it's kind of become part of the brand over the last couple of years too. I don't think I can go back to the short hair that I had 10 years ago. So yeah, leave all your comments, good or bad or indifferent, about my hair. It is looking a little wild, a little crazy today, but that's okay. So, okay, I want to talk about a few things, starting with the most recent episodes that we've had, and to celebrate these milestones, celebrate the wins that we're getting with the ModGolf podcast. And I also encourage you, as whether it's as an entrepreneur, what you do with business, and what you do in life, take a pause, celebrate the things, the milestones you've reached. And I know we're always looking for more and more and looking ahead for that next thing. But we need to take pause and take stock in all the good things that we're doing here. And a lot of you may know that about a month or so ago, we reached the 100,000 download mark for the ModGolf podcast, which is amazing. So, and I thank all of you, whether the last episode was the first one you've ever listened to, or you've been with us since day one, since May of 2017 with our first episode. or sometime in between there. And we just keep growing and growing. And it's interesting also that I've managed to apply more focus in what I'm doing and setting goals with the ModGolf podcast. And one of my, I don't know, call it a blind spot, whether you want to call it a weakness, uh, but I have, or just that's a part of my personality is I seem to take on more things than I should, whether that's fear of missing out, of saying no to something, not wanting to disappoint someone that's made an offer, or me just seeing another opportunity. And I've had that in the past where then I keep putting more and more on my plate and I spread myself too thin, and then I'm not able to perform and underdeliver, either for myself or also for others. So I've been very intentional over the last little while is to discard some of the things that I've been working on, as painful as it is, because I love these things. I love all the things. You want to do it all, but you have to make decisions because time is our most precious and most sparse resource and commodity that we have. And I've done that for the last 2 months and been focusing on the effort with the Mod Golf podcast. And whether it's your golf game or business or anything else in life, the more work you put in, you see the results over time. And I've seen that already with the Mod Golf podcast, where now last month, so March of 2024, we had the most downloads over that month of any other month that I've had. So really 84 months over 7 years, with over 3,000 downloads and releasing only a couple of episodes last month because we do release them about every 2 weeks. And this month, already looking at smashing that, already almost at that level. What's today, the 22nd of the month? So we may definitely will break 4,000 downloads and may even get to 5,000 downloads. So this trend going upwards of the engagement that we have and the reach. And like I said, it hasn't been accidental. I put in a lot of work, and also the partners that I have, I cannot thank them enough. And the sponsors that we have, cannot thank them enough, between Golf Genius Software and British Columbia Golf, that have been with me for over 4 years now. And some of the newer sponsors that we have too that I'm very excited about. Synthetic Turf International, who I've known for many years, and they've just come on. And one of the cool things there is we're going to do a podcast episode together that we're going to explore the history and the backstory of artificial turf, which I know nothing about, and what I understand, it's quite fascinating, not only in golf but also across sport, with artificial turf. So that's an episode that we're going to do together. So I love that because I don't do infomercials. I get offers every single day from companies, from agencies wanting that type of content or those guests on, and I just won't do it because I know with you as the listener and on YouTube as the viewer, I know I don't want to watch that content. I don't want to watch an infomercial. So it's all about the story, and the journey, and what piques your interest on that. And I'm doing my best to stay in that lane and be true to that mission and that philosophy, that ethos, and providing you with compelling stories, the ups and downs of the creation of a product, of a service, of a company, and those aha moments and everything in between that the founder or founders have to take on. So we've released episode 3 of season 15 just last week, and that was with a young man named Nick Darby, who works with a nonprofit organization out of the UK called Get Golfing. And this story was really fascinating for me because this type of model for owning multiple golf courses as a nonprofit uh, doesn't exist anywhere else in the world at this level and the way that they're expanding. So what they do, they take distressed golf courses that may close or get converted into another use that is not golf anymore. And in the UK, especially around London, the story there of how this was founded about 5 years ago, and had the first course and then had an offer to take on 7 more, and now they're up to a dozen courses. And the beautiful part of this story is what they give back, basically for junior golfers who play for free. They've got over 2,500 of them now within their memberships and everything else that they do in golf. Because since as a nonprofit, they don't have to pay out dividends to the stakeholders, to the investors, to the owners. So all that money gets folded back in to the golf courses themselves. So it's amazing what they're doing. Don't want to give you any more spoilers with that, but Nick is amazing. And as I mentioned in the podcast there, it was really interesting how sometimes just random serendipitous timing works. So I was on a shuttle bus coming back from PGA, the demo day at the PGA show in Orlando in January. So a half-hour bus shuttle back from this big 360-degree driving range, which is set up for the day with all of the manufacturers and products and equipment out there, and just happened to randomly sit beside a young man, and that was Nick. And we struck up a conversation. And I realized what they were doing with Get Golfing, and a couple of conversations later, it's like, let's get you on the podcast. And that's a really strong episode. So I will include that in the show notes also here, so you can check that one out also. And the YouTube video, I'm just editing that right now, but that's going to be released also very, very soon. What else is going on here? Just going through my feed of what's gone on in golf in the last week or even on the weekend. I know I don't cover that too much because we do focus on entrepreneurship and innovation and those stories, but I've got a comment on Nelly Korda and winning 5 LPGA tournaments in a row this weekend. Also a second major that she's won in a row within those 5 tournaments. Unbelievable. It's just, she's gone to this next level. And seeing the quality of the play out there, and I'll be honest, I actually prefer watching the LPGA more than the PGA Tour, as I find it much more relatable. Myself as a 14 handicapper and how I hit the ball and my swing speed, obviously their swings are way better than mine, but I just find the way they manage their game around the course as compared to the PGA pros, even though I love what they're doing. Don't want to get into the live versus PGA Tour thing on this particular conversation, but I find the LPGA, just as far as being able to connect with that and relate to that with the way that they play and the way they manage their way around the course, I actually love it. And I find I can take away more to help my game from the women at that elite level that I watch rather than the men, because of course with their swing speeds and, and their ball speeds and what they're doing, I can't do that. It's not going to happen. I can learn from it, but that's, it's just not attainable for me. So Nelly Korda, big shout out. Congratulations there for everything that you did. Love this. I'm just going through my feed on my other laptop here. I love this. This is actually through Golf Unplugged, who haven't had those guys on the podcast yet. But this is talking about a picture here, a guy that had a hole-in-one in Albatross in the same round. And this is so relatable for me. They've got his front 9 scorecard. So he had a hole-in-one in an Albatross. So he's 5 under on those 2 holes. And the guy shot 39 because he had 2 triples and a double wedged in between that hole-in-one and the Albatross. So I can relate to that. Can't relate to getting the Albatross. I have got a hole-in-one. 4 of them so far. I did have a video that I put on that we actually captured that last one, which was on an executive course. Sorry, it wasn't even executive. It was a pitch and putt course where I practice here in Vancouver a lot, and I love that to work on my short game. And it was only 85 yards, and I put it out there to everybody. It's like, does that count as a hole-in-one? Do you consider? So we got this raging debate going on. A lot of people responding, no, it doesn't count. It's less than 100 yards. It doesn't count as a hole-in-one. And majority of people is like, absolutely, Colin. That's a hole-in-one, count it. So I'd love to hear your opinion too. Do you consider a pitch and putt hole-in-one a hole-in-one, or a hole-in-one anywhere? Do you consider it has to be a certain distance? Let me know. Love to hear your thoughts on that. What else we got here on the feed here? Oh, this one I actually quite like. So this is, My Golf Spy, who we did have on the podcast a while ago. They're talking about night golf and how much they love night golf, and talking about it because less expensive, easier layouts, something a little different than your local putt-putt. I haven't had a chance to play night golf yet, but I know in the States, a lot of these courses, especially these shorter par three and executive courses, it is blowing up. There was one in just outside of, or actually in Orlando, that I timing wise during the PGA show, I was not able to go to. Hopefully next year I'll go to that one. But yet another way to grow golf and to have people just engage at that level. And again, it only takes a couple hours. The fact it's in the evening, you know, I know most of us still work a traditional 9 to 5, even if you're working remotely from home or working at a hybrid model. But still, golf, as we know, takes up a lot of time. All those other barriers and pain points that we know that the traditional green grass experience playing par 72, takes up a lot of time. So these compressed versions, especially at night when people want to get out and recreate. Um, I'd like to hear your thoughts on that also. Night golf. Have any of you tried night golf yet? And if so, what has been your experience playing night golf? Yeah, tell us about that. Let's see. What else is going on here? Oh, I always want to give shout outs to previous guests here. I'm just looking at the feed here. And this is with my friend Shella. So Shella is out of Houston, and she has her golf teaching academy called Sister Golf, and she actually has her webinars and her lessons that she has, and I believe these are in person. So obviously, you got to be in the Houston area. I will include all the contact information and including the conversation we had a couple of years ago with Shella and all the good things that she's doing to grow golf with women. And as 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 a black woman and a teaching pro, and her story, the episode I did with her a couple of years ago, that story still resonates, and I will include that in the show notes also. So if you want to learn a little more about Shella, and also I will include the link to her webinar series, so you can check that out. So Elliot has said that webinar, so obviously there is a virtual aspect of that too. So yeah, support her. She's doing amazing things, and you might even learn a thing or two. And in fact, I'm going to not just say it, I'm going to do it. So I'm looking at her next one here. The date of that, I believe that's coming up in the next week or so. I will include that, like I said, the details to that. So not only do I encourage you to check out what Shell is doing and attend that webinar, I'm going to do that too. So let's do it together. All right, let's support what she's doing. All right. Okay, going to leave that on the feed today. I'm going to talk about future guests coming up. I'm going to be recording 2 episodes this week. One is with a new friend that I met for the first time. Spent a couple of days with him down in Sarasota, which is just south of Tampa and St. Petersburg in Florida. So after the PGA show, went down and saw him, and that's Kevin Carpenter, who's also goes by the moniker of the Gratitude. So with all the good things that he's doing in golf and giving back, and having spent some time with him and playing a round of golf at his course in Sarasota, he is the real deal as far as that give first mentality of the things that he does through their charity platform. And yeah, he's just an all-around good human. And we were going to record an episode when I was down there together in person. Timing didn't work out, and we've been back and forth. So I'm doing that on Wednesday. So I'm going to be recording that, releasing that episode in a few weeks' time. Also, not just the audio podcast, but we'll also be recording a YouTube video as I do. So you'll be able to see that too. And the other guest, yeah, Wednesday's going to be busy for me because I try not to do this, to stack up and do 2 recordings in one day, but I haven't done that in a while. But I'm going to be doing that on Wednesday. And the other guest is Anne Ligori. And if you know Anne, she's got a new book out, Life on the Green, which I'm about halfway through here, and I've got to finish up before Wednesday, which I'll be spending some time here. So I met Anne at the PGA show for a couple of years as not only a golf journalist, but as a sport journalist for she's almost 3 decades now. And I really wasn't aware of Anne's pedigree and realizing what she's done being up here in Canada. Hadn't uh, been exposed to all the good work that she's done, not only with the Golf Channel and ESPN, both on radio and also on television. But Anne is a bit of a thing. Like, she's had like everybody in golf, the who's who in this book. Also, just reading off the back here. So she's got a dozen stories and interviews that she's had with Tom Watson, Annika Sorenstam, Gary Player, Jack Nicklaus, Nancy Lopez, Bernhard Langer, Ben Crenshaw, and the list goes on. Renee Powell, who I'm hoping with my friend Clemmy Perry will be a uh, guest host, and we'll have Renee Powell on. So an amazing book. So that one's coming up in the next couple of weeks also. So I get the opportunity to interview the interviewer, and I've got to say, I usually don't get too nervous about having guests on. I've had some pretty big and established guests on in the industry over the years, but I got to say, I'm a little nervous on this one because she is the consummate professional, and her experience and everything that she's done and the awards that she's won, and she deserves each and every one of them. That I got to say, I'm a little nervous. Don't want to say that there's imposter syndrome with me here of having her on, because I've been doing this for a while now, even though I am not professionally trained at doing this at all. My background in architecture and design, in sport architecture, how I got into the golf industry over 10 years ago, which I talked about that story a bit last week on our first live stream. And then with the podcast, like I said, been doing this for 7 years now and doing it for the right reasons. And that was for myself to just meet and engage and connect with all these amazing people in the golf industry, because I was not in the golf industry. So I needed to find a way to connect myself in a way that, just like I talked about with Kevin Carpenter, gratitude. It's that give first mentality. So for me, as an entrepreneur, and also doing what I do with the ModGolf podcast, is not doing the promotional thing where telling people, giving them the sales pitch of what I'm doing and all the features and the benefits. And I'm doing the opposite, or I do my very best, is to offer them the opportunity to join me, giving something of value, that value exchange, where they get an unpaid media opportunity. And said, even though I'm not at the level of Rick Shields, not at that level of Bob Does Sports yet, maybe one day, maybe not, but that's okay. The fact we're continuing to grow here, but the fact we do have an audience that's very engaged and very active and very supportive. And so giving my guests that opportunity, then doing my best that I've learned from architecture, then execute at the highest possible level that I can. And that cultivates trust with them. And it's already led to other collaborations over the last couple of years, and some more in the future. So with our business, and yes, the ModGolf podcast is something I take seriously as a business, but it's as a media asset of our sport entertainment company, along with the entrepreneurial ventures that we're involved with, not just in golf entertainment, but also in sport. And then also as design consultants, also the work that we've done with event experience and design and all those good things of working with people with Topgolf and the PGA of America and others. So yeah, so it's really about that give first mentality, offering something of value rather than asking. And then I found so many times people then want to help you when you offer something, and it may take time. And I know in our business life and Western culture, sadly, we look at something quite often that has to be immediate and transactional. Like, what is it for me? And I found that my social capital, what I've grown there over the last almost 10 years and 7 years of the podcast, again, of having almost 200 people on the show, it's just helped me personally and also business wise incredibly. And I would really encourage you, not necessarily to create a podcast, but having that mindset of that growth mindset, that mindset of plenitude rather than scarcity, that we need to fight over and compete all the time. And yeah, competition is good. I'm a competitive person, but I've also found that entrepreneurial quote of a rising tide lifts all boats is very true. And you can collaborate and just add more value and partner and do that rather than trying to go alone and trying to defend your turf. And I know, not trying to be naive here and say you don't need to. If you've got a tech company or what you're doing with your venture is, yes, being able to have your trade secrets or your IP or your patents and those things that do protect you and add value, absolutely. But on the other hand, you also need to partner and find ways to propel yourself forward. And with the ModGolf podcast, again, for me, I know the reason it's grown the last couple of months is because of the partners that I've managed to put in place, that I give them great content, and they promote it. And I've had some cases where now some of these new partners that I have, and some of them are financial partners who are helping me get to that next level. And now I can start to outsource and automate some of the production quality so we can scale and start doing some more marketing with the ModGolf podcast. But ultimately, even the value exchange for me is not necessarily them sending me money. It's then connecting to their audience of having 200,000 subscribers on their email newsletter list, another one having 45,000 subscribers. So all of a sudden, the net that I'm casting is much, much wider, and this gives me that opportunity to engage with more people. And once again, I can see already the results there through those efforts, as I've already mentioned, the uptick in downloads over the last couple of months, and that just continues to grow. So that's super exciting. All right, you know what? I'm going to leave that at there today. And once again, as I talked about, as far as goals, as far as setting milestones, and what you consider a win, I've been pretty much talking to myself here for the last half an hour, and we haven't had anybody join us today. And rather than me next week going, oh, no one joined last week, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to keep doing it because, as I've learned, you need to slowly build, and consistency is so important. And if I'm not growing and getting better, if I don't look back at the first couple episodes that we're doing, just me sitting in a room with no backdrop here, with just a closet, and not looking at that and going, wow, that's where we started, that's what we did. That shows that I haven't grown, that I haven't improved, that we haven't evolved and made the product better, and continually innovating as we go. So I'm going to leave that at that today. So once again, in the comments below, if you're watching this afterwards, because I know right now it's only me on here, but hey, if you want to reach out to me directly, you can email me, Colin, Colin, at modgolfpodcast.com. I'll leave all the links below for the previous episodes that I talked about, and also for our Patreon. So as I mentioned, also, hey, if you would be able to and willing to hit that subscribe button here for our ModGolf YouTube channel to get us up to closer, one subscription at a time, to that 1,000 subscriber mark, I would really appreciate that. And going to leave it at that. Have a great week. So we're going to be releasing another episode in the next little while here. Got some more YouTube content coming out. And I look forward to continuing the conversation and have this getting even more interactive and engaging as we go. So we'll leave it at that. Have a great week. I'll see you soon.